Hi guys, I'm Gihan Dheerasekara and I'm coming to you from Kandy, sunny Kandy, as you can see around here. I'm privileged to be featured in Car and Me today, so I hope you guys enjoy it. So I got into motorsports mainly because that's what I have seen growing up. So going back maybe about 25 years, my father started racing in the 80s. So when I was of age, that's pretty much what I have been seeing, and then that's how I sort of grew up with it. So they're like my biggest inspiration, and after my father, my mom took it up as well. So it basically runs in the family. I wanted to start at an early age, but because of education and other commitments, well, I wasn't allowed. So I had to sort of work for it. So soon as I finished my high exams like A-levels, I left Sri Lanka and I went to Australia. I went to Melbourne and I did my higher education there. So it took about another 4 years. So technically my first sort of race was in Melbourne. That was in 2012. It was a time attack, so that's where I started off. It was like it was more of an experience because they had a club there and they invited me over, and I had a Subaru WRX. That's the car that I used there. So that's sort of like my starting point, and from there on I really got serious, and then fixed up the car and sort of got into the whole thing. So it was more of a hobby. Like, it started off as a hobby. I just like a track day, just wanted to experience what it was like, because I never got that exposure here. Like, I was never able to drive in Lanka when I was here, because my father, he took part in most of his races were hill climbs. And so was my mom's, and it wasn't like I got the chance to drive the car or go around the track or anything like that. So I think it's fair to say that my first ever step into racing was in Melbourne. My first ever race was in Phillip Island. That was the start of the season, and I honestly didn't even have a brand new set of tires, because I actually borrowed a set of tires from my friends, and I went there. It was a bit worn and the tires were like not in their best performance, but I was able to finish third in the ladder on the first event. That was really that was very thrilling. I mean, I didn't expect that. I mean, it's a really quick track. Like, you're doing around 260, 270 down the stretch. So that was very quick for me. I mean, I was really amazed at the speed. I mean, everyone thinks that when you're doing like 260, 270, it's so quick, but it actually feels really slow, because it feels like you're in one spot. So that's a sensation that you cannot experience. I mean, it's hard to sort of explain. So that was that was like my first race, and from there on I kept participating in all the national events in Melbourne. I came to Sri Lanka in 2016, and then I had no intention of starting to race like anytime soon. Like, I had no idea. I didn't even know what was going on here at the time. But eventually I had the interest, and I honestly didn't have a car to start off, because my dad, he stopped back in 2000, 2001, and then we were out of the racing scenario. So I had to sort of start from scratch. My first event was with the formulas, and Uncle Gihan Dheerasekara, he helped me a lot. I was sort of seeking guidance from him, and then that was the event that I was available to like rent a car and then take part in the events. And I started off in Pannala, if I remember right, yeah, Pannala, and then that was a completely different experience because I was used to all the all-wheel drive cars, and then all of a sudden, like getting into formulas, that was complete game changer because they were rear-wheel drive cars, and the handling was different, and the braking was different. Everything was different, but it was a great experience. And that's like sort of my first event when I came to Lanka. I didn't do well in that category because for various different reasons, and that's when I decided I need to sort of go a bit further, and then and with my dad's help, I was able to get into the faster categories. That's namely SLH 1618 and SLS 1500. So those were the two events that I put my hand up for. So, and then we ended up buying two cars and then towing them up and getting them ready, all race ready, and that's how I got into the racing scene here in Lanka. So my first event in Lanka was, well, my proper event in the production cars was in Katukurunda. That was back in 2017. And I ran my Honda Specials car for the first time with numerous issues at the time, and I was really lucky, and I was able to finish second on my first race that I took part in, and I was really happy at the result. So yeah, that is like my starting point of racing here in Lanka. My favorite racing type. Okay, so even though I started off with time attack and time events, that's not, I wouldn't call it my favorite, or not even hill climbs, because like it's just one car going up and then being timed. My favorite would be wheel-to-wheel racing. Yeah, that's more intense. Like you're going with the crowd, and then like you're going in the bunch, and then you just got to figure out a way to get ahead. So yeah, definitely, yeah, definitely just going like going wheel to wheel. Circuit events, yeah, hands down. As a kid, that was the only thing that was on my mind, because I see both my parents going at it, and I'm just like I'm just there seeing all the race cars and just being in that environment. Yeah, definitely, it was one of my dreams. Yeah, absolutely. Disappointments after a race. Yeah, there were numerous times. Yeah, like there were some incidents, or rather accidents, if you could call them, and some were just ruined the complete race. So yeah, those were disappointing. I have never been disappointed in not winning or not getting the position that I want, but I have been disappointed in having unwanted incidents, like things that could have been avoided. Yeah, so yeah, definitely, yeah, things like that, they are really disappointing. If I'm not racing, the alternative, that's a tough one, because I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie, so anything that's got to do with speed, really, and anything that's, gets your heart rate up. So I think I'll probably do maybe, it's hard to say. I honestly can't think of anything other than racing. I would say maybe cage fighting, yeah, like MMA, mixed martial arts. I would go with that, yeah. My favorite car brand, it happens to be, I like the Jap cars, the Japanese. They're my all-time favorite. But for a daily, I fancy the Mercedes, because comfort and also it's elegant, and also like when it comes to, when you really want to put your foot down, it can open up. So that's one of the reasons why I like Mercedes. I mean, there's a sense of class in it as well. So I mean, Mercedes, BMW, they're pretty good. I currently use this one here. It's the reason I got a convertible is that I enjoy long drives. I mean, like say for an example, if you're going up to Nuwara and then you feel like you wanna, experience nature and get a bit more personal with nature, you can just put the roof down, and then you're pretty much open to the world. So. Again, that's a personal preference, but in terms of handling and performance and the comfort, yeah, I'm a big fan of Mercedes. But as far as race cars go, definitely Japanese cars, because there's so much you can do with them. And yeah, I mean, honestly, if I get to choose between a European and a Japanese when it comes to racing, I would definitely stick with Japanese, purely because of their reliability, and also the fact that you can do them up, and literally there's no end, as deep as your pockets go, really. So yeah. My favorite racetrack in Lanka, it's a tough one, because they're all really good. They're all very technical. Well, we don't have a lot of tarmac tracks, right? We've only got the two. So I'm just going to leave that one out. But yeah, so far, my favorite loose surface or gravel racing track, I would say it's Cavalry Supercross. It's in Kurunegala. That is, yeah, that has to be that's got to be my favorite. Yes. Teamwork, I think, is the backbone of any successful race, because everyone has their part to do, right? And that all got to combine. That is definitely it's a crucial element of winning a race, and everyone has to do their part, and it has to go hand in hand. And it's not something that I do, like it's not all up to me. Yes, I do have to drive the car, and I have to perform at my best during the race, but getting there is the most important part, like getting the car ready and getting everything else organized. That that takes a lot of effort, and that's not one person's job. Everyone has to put in, and like once they do it right, then yes, you've got a really successful result. Yeah. I finished my A-levels in 2007, and then afterwards I actually wanted to go abroad, so I picked Australia for my higher education, and I did accounting and finance. So I finished my bachelor's in accounting and finance. Upon my return, I didn't want to do a job here because mainly because my family already has a business. We are into tire retreading, so we supply retread tires for the public transport here in Lanka. So it's called Autoways Private Limited, and my dad started it around 28 years ago. I'm a director of my father's company, so I'm just handling day-to-day operations, and then developing the business, and then looking at other revenue streams and so forth. So because racing requires a lot of manpower, so most of the crew that goes racing with us is from the company. So the company has helped a lot in that sense, and to speak of the biggest help, the biggest help would be my parents, because they take pride in the sport and they have done it themselves. And my dad, he's the biggest help, like hands down. He has started off well. He helped me to buy my first car, and then like he has been in the racing scenario for a while, so he knows the right contacts. So he sort of put me in the right track, and financially and mentally he has been a great help, and so has my mom, because she takes pride in the sport as well. Well, technically my whole family loves motorsport, so they have been a great help in supporting me. And even my wife, I mean, I've only been married like 6-7 months now, but I met her about 1.5-2 years ago, and she's all into motorsports as well. So I don't have any issues when it comes to support wise, because my whole family and my wife, everyone loves the sport, and they encourage me and they motivate me, and they're always there through thick and thin. So that is like the biggest, that is, I mean, more than anything, that's the biggest power that I have. And my extended family as well. I mean, my cousins, they're very encouraging me, and then like they're always there. They don't miss the events. They're always there. They're always helping me, and it's amazing. I mean, we always come together. So it's mainly teamwork. I mean, even when I win races, it's not just me. I mean, a lot of people has helped me get there. So it's a win for everyone. When it comes to developing the sport further in Sri Lanka, yes, I think everyone has their own opinion about the sport, but this particular sport is one of those sports that has been given the least amount of attention because of the barrier to entry and the expenses. So I think there is more that could be done for this sport. So I think in my opinion, this shouldn't be just for a limited number of people. I mean, everyone who has the passion should be able to enjoy the sport. The ideology behind motorsport is that it's only limited and only these people can do it. There's no class or there's no qualification for this. I mean, obviously you got to have it in you, like you have to have the passion, and then it's not just about money, it's not just about finances. I think anyone with the passion could get into it. It's just a matter of figuring it out and giving the right advice and getting the right people to coach them and help them to get into the sport. I mean, you can start off with go-karting. I mean, we have a great go-karting facility in Bandaragama. You can start off there, and you can sort of get to know what your skills are, and then you can progress from there. But the mentality of the Sri Lankan motorsport is that it should be done. It's only meant for a certain number of people. Like, it shouldn't be like that. If you have the passion, you can join us, you can come, and we are there to help. We have a lot of good drivers here, and I'm sure there's a lot of good drivers out there with hidden talents. They can always join us. The cost is a different kind of thing, but if you know what you're doing and if you know how to do it, then yes, you can take part. There's no restriction. You can start off in the novices, you can see how you go, and there are so many people who can help you out, right? So just don't be afraid. Just don't be afraid to come out. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Like any of the drivers, like any of the top drivers, you can go and talk to them and say, just find out how you can get into it, right? So we actually want to grow this community. We don't want to sort of keep it amongst ourselves, right? We want to welcome newcomers, and we want to expand the sport. So yes, this is a great start. 2020, come for the race meets, ask questions, come and meet us, talk to us, and then we are there to help, right? So we want new guys to come into this sport, guys and girls, right? So just feel free. I mean, that's what needs to be done right now. We need new blood here, right? So please just bring it on.